Welcome! My name is Marcelo, and today I'm gonna try to share with you some of the new features we have in OpenArt to work on our projects. We're gonna cover some tools in this single video because I've been working on other things. And honestly, before making a video about the tools, I was really busy using the tools, and that's why I'm a little late. So let's dive right in. Let's get into using SmartShot and the new major feature, Director. Let's get started with all of that. Well, the first thing we have to keep in mind is that nothing is magical. So to begin with, everything I'm going to share with you today should be taken with a lot of caution. We can't start an automated process without understanding it properly. And therefore, today we're going to try to talk precisely about that. Within OpenArt, on the main OpenArt portal, if we want to make a highly controlled video, where we have a lot of control over the video, the ideal thing is to use the traditional method, which in this case would be to go to video and create a video within the framework of the structures it offers us. Image to video or text to video. Alright? Now, if we want and have a bit more knowledge and want to automate making a video in a simple and flexible way, we can quickly take two routes. Route number one, the one from a while ago, is SmartShot. SmartShot is one of the video options we have here. We go into SmartShot. And what do we find in SmartShot? This is a simplified work system to create a template with GPT, Image 2, which is a very powerful model, and with that direction template. Yeah, Sedan's 2.0 to achieve a structure with a maximum duration of 15 seconds that's very tightly controlled based on our requests. We write a description of the scene we want, add references and objects. It's limited, precisely so as not to overwhelm GPT. Image 2, both in terms of objects and characters as well as environments. Once we have that, we're going to choose the quality that this template will have. Whether we want it low, medium, or high, this will obviously affect the price. In output credits, alright, and once we've chosen, all we have to do is preview the plan. We'll have that plan preview so we can check if all the features of the image, if everything we've requested, is properly reflected in the template. Alright. If we see that it's not right, unfortunately for us, the ideal thing to do is restart the process. Are we clear? This is a fundamental part of working with generative intelligence. This new stage of CGI has a blind spot, which is that the models do the best they can based on what we ask of them. Therefore, we have to be very cautious in automation processes. So we check our template. If the template is absolutely perfect and ready to go, we can move straight into the process of generating the final video production. And right here, we can also choose from a wide variety of different formats, as well as various video qualities, as well as the specific total duration and length of time we expect that particular template to run. Let's remember that professional work is usually done starting at the 1080p layer, but if we're working on a preview to show a client an idea, whether it's for an advertisement or to do a pitch meeting for a fiction product, any of those needs can be covered with 720p or even 480p, which significantly reduces costs. So this is SmartShot. Once we use SmartShot to create all these comprehensive structures, the final result is actually very interesting and impressive overall. I truly think it's a great, innovative idea for people who aren't very familiar with the process of building professional video direction templates from scratch. It really simplifies everything for beginners and creators alike, which is going to become more and more common. I want to clarify, in cinematography, all these structures are standard. We use templates for everything. Everything. If we're making a comic, there are templates. If we're making an audio-visual product, there are templates. Whether it's a music video, a movie, there's a storyboard. There are different types of technical scripts with more graphic features, fewer graphic features, but this happened all the time. The other tool that's available today, and that I think is important to highlight, is the director. This director, it's the evolution of what used to be called history in the legacy interface. History was a revolution at the time. I was part of the testing for that product, and it was a really good product. Now, in generative artificial intelligence, everything is advancing by leaps and bounds, especially since the emergence of smarter agents, you could say. We have to migrate from these old agents, because in a way, the one that worked in story was like a kind of automatic agent, to the new chat-based editing structure, where you can talk with the agent and have more control about a bunch of other features in the back end, on the site, or on the different sites that are involved in building a piece of content. And that's where we come across Director. Director is now basically a chat for directing. If we go into Director, we'll see there's a phrase that's kind of driving this new tool, which is directing by feeling, or vibe directing. A while ago, there was vibe coding, but now it's vibe directing. And that's no joke. Now, disclaimer, this is important. We can't talk about Director without understanding some fundamental issues about costs. Because when we automate, the only major drawback is the cost. It's like if we're gonna produce a movie and we have the money, but we don't have the know-how, okay? So the director, what it's always gonna do is use everything that's state-of-the-art. In other words, all the most efficient models in terms of quality. Which brings us to cost. If we ask it to make a music video with certain features and a certain length, what it's going to do is generate a lot of graphic information in images and a lot of graphic information in videos. That helped build that vision. What I've discovered through using Director is that this can be extremely expensive. When we start working with Director, Director is going to work with us to achieve our goals. Basically, the best policy you can have is to use a large number of images that are truly related to the project. Use the music, the voices in each character's main request, the spreadsheets we have, and tell the director everything we need based on that content and what content we want it to create and what content we don't want it to create, which image or video models we want it to use, and which models we don't want it to use. Directing the director basically is essential. If you have plenty of credits, there's no problem. Because if you are, for example, a Wonder client with packages that, well, I don't know, the last case I had on the Discord server was someone who used more than 1 million credits. If we have a budget of more than 1 million credits, there's absolutely no problem making a direct request that's quick and fits organically with the director's policies. As we already said, state of the art. So the cost is going to be state of the art. But if we want cut corners, with our budget, we have to be more directive. Knowledge helps us save a lot of money. So this director is very smart, and if we set the boundaries, in other words, if we draw the lines for them, the director will respect them, and is very responsible and respectful. Even to the point where we can chat with him to reach a solution. What will happen is that he'll warn us about some things, or ask us about others. For example, the quality that each video will have. But if you look closely, one of the usual characteristics of a director is to make as many clips as needed based on the scenes. Instead of making one big multi-scene clip, the director will probably choose to make small clips that we can later edit. This isn't necessarily a bad thing from one point of view, but sometimes with certain models, it can be a bit more expensive and might even cause us to go over our budgets. That said, Director has the ability to create a fully automated video from start to finish based on our requests and our conversation. And several things have been added. For example, now we can talk to Director. We can directly tell it what we want, and we can choose to have it talk with us or simply do the things we ask it to do. If we're absolutely sure that our request to the team is perfect and fits our budget without any mistakes, we can go that route. But obviously, and I say this responsibly, I'm going to recommend that you don't use that route if you don't really know how to save money. Now, director needs, and I'm going to say this emphatically, director needs to be guided at a certain point. Of course, and for that, I'm going to go back to the beginning. Of course we can work with templates. There are several templates designed by experts within OpenArt to work with Director. And it's really useful for you to go in and check out these templates. For example, I'm going to go into the music video template. Now, it's not magic. It might not be 100% what you're expecting. And why isn't it magic? And why isn't it 100%? Because once you come in here and give it everything you need, in this case, the music video, the models aren't perfect. That is, I can go in to make an ad, and the ad will guide me with all the elements that would be the most suitable and timely to make the video with the highest possible quality, with the success rate almost at its maximum, but it's always just almost at the maximum. And I want to be clear about this. Neither SmartShot nor the director, nor using state-of-the-art video or image technology is gonna make it perfect. In fact, and I also want to emphasize this, the costs we have today to access these cutting-edge technologies are what they are precisely because they aren't perfect. They have that ability to give us 100% of what we want, and we have to make the most of it. I'm from the old school. I come from working with film, with tape, and with pure digital files. Until at some point in history, the world changed so radically that today I can sit down and direct. And the whole directing team is different. It's not just me. That's awesome. And something I've learned over these few years of experience, though it's been a few, is that nothing is perfect. And we always end up using the footage that turned out well and cutting out the parts that didn't. And sometimes we end up with expenses that go beyond our budget because of expectations, but that's just part of the process of creating entertainment content, or any kind of content. This is a general overview of these two tools that you can use today in OpenAFT. And of course, you can use the link in the description to join or try it out. There's a discount, there's always some kind of discount, but there's a special discount these weeks. Now then, please be cautious when using these two powerful tools, because knowledge, caution, and patience will always take you far. That's all for today. Sending you all my best. A big hug. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.